everyone, welcome to an analysis of dance where we discuss the movements and debuts of the Billboard Hot Dance charts in immaculate detail, with in-depth reviews of each debut each week. Wow, this week felt way more impactful than I personally expected. Yes, it only had 4 debuts and one of them was that KAYTRANADA prediction that I had last week, but when you had the big song debut in the top 5 as well as a few other movements that show some genuine instability on this chart, yeah, it actually was surprisingly interesting. And honestly, even if the debuts were pretty split in terms of quality, they were at least interesting, I'll give them that. And hey, given how 2023 started, I'll definitely take this being a much more interesting start to the year. Maybe this year actually has promise after all, you never know. But anyways, onto the top 10 where Houdini by Dua Lipa has finally been able to hold steady at number 1 as it's starting to rebound big on streaming and has the radio support behind it. Once the Christmas season rolls around, this is going to go back up pretty damn high. And hey, I'm not really complaining, it's still a great song and I'm glad that they're finally letting Dua Lipa become a big hit maker here. But what I don't see lasting comes in our brand new debut at number 2, My House by Beyonce. Streaming and sales are the only reason this debuted as high as it did, and given that it doesn't have any sort of radio support and it is only here because it's a companion to the Renaissance Tour documentary, yeah, I don't see this sticking around, and when you get to the song later on, I'm honestly fine with that. We'll get to this one later on, but for now I managed to knock down Strangers by Kenya Grace down to number 3, but given that radio is continuing to surge with this and streaming has really been strong, this is going to rebound to good to see. But that's not all. Once you skip past I'm Good Blue by David Guetta and BB Rexa at number 4, which is just collapsing across the board, we also have another challenger with DJ Play a Christmas Song by Cher at number 5. And look, this finally hit the bubbling under. This probably has a chance of hitting the Hot 100 soon, which is funny considering it's Cher. But hey, I'm not complaining. It's a much better song, and if it knocks down I'm Good even further and manages to make it more risk to recurrent rules, I can't really argue there. But thanks to the debut of Beyonce, a lot of our top 10 saw some pretty considerable falls regardless, with Ecstasy by Suicidal Idol at number 6, which is just collapsing across the board. Prada by Casu, Ray and D-Block Europe at number 7, which has lesser stream but has some other formats supporting it, so this might actually stick around longer. And somehow Rush by Troye Sivan actually managed to rebound up to number 8, as it saw a big rebound on streaming. Seriously? This is only getting this now? It couldn't have been when it was actually popular, are you serious? But really, once you skip past Ella Verga by Alex Favea, Grupo Marco de Strada and Joaquin Medina at number 9, which has streaming but no radio support behind it either, the big story is the collapse of Lovely Bastards by Yatashi Gang and Zway Andrew at number 10, where streaming is starting to finally let go of this absolute gunk. Let's get rid of this out of the top 10. It's not welcome here. And speaking of things that aren't welcome here, our only fall off that's really worth noting is Five Nights at Freddy's by The Living Tombstone. Although given how long it's stuck in the top 20, this is probably going to make the year-end list. Just freaking wonderful. Not to worry though, as when we get to our falls, the other Living Tombstone song on the charts, Stuck Inside with Black Griffin, Basic and Kevin Foster, is down to 50. Thank God this one's underperforming, it's not good at all. Outside of that, not really a whole lot of note, as Jungkook saw continued collapses with Closer to You with Major Lazer at 40, and Please Don't Change with DJ Snake at 38. Vocation by Ozuna and David Guetta just continues to underperform at 31. I really hope this one would actually stick around. Hell, it wasn't really a good week for David Guetta, as One in a Million with BB Rexa fell naturally down to 37, and Choose Your Fighter by Ava Max just continues its wildly inconsistent run down to 26. Hopefully this will actually be gone come next week, given that it hit 20 weeks, but you never know with this song, it's been bouncing all over the place. Finally, that leaves All My Fellas Pose for the Camera by Frisk taking a sudden hit down to 30, and good riddance. This song has only gotten worse since I heard it, and if I were talking about the worst of this chart at the moment, it might actually be my least favorites. Yeah, I'm not kidding, it's really bad. But seriously, when you look at our jumps and comebacks, the weirdness continues. I mean, our comebacks, I'm not exactly upset to see Shake That Shit by Jittix and Kate Claire at 49, and Better Off Alone Part 3 by Alan Walker, Dash Billion and Vicstar at 46, but I really did not expect either to come back at all. They're weird outliers on this chart, and honestly, I did not expect they would have as much staying power as they did. Now, that same sense of weirdness comes into our 2 jumps, where yes, it wasn't really surprising that Desire by Calvin Harris and Sam Smith rebounded to 23 thanks to the VIP release, but seriously, why is Tell It To My Heart by Cash Cash and Taylor Dane still here at 35? It's falling on airplay, and really, it's only here because of Pandora streaming. Is it really that strong there? Seriously? But anyways, the 4 debuts this week where the quality is absolutely split, starting off unfortunately with number 47, Thank You, Not So Bad by Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike, Tiesto, W&W, and Dido. seriously, who the fuck was asking for this? I get that Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike have been having a pretty rough couple of years, so collaborating with Tiesto would guarantee them to at least get some sort of momentum again. But seriously, why did you have to drag on W&W, who are a thoroughly mediocre big room house duo? And even more importantly, why are we remixing Thank You by Dido, one of the best pop songs of the early 2000s and one that's absolutely been burnt to the ground already? And seriously, you're competing against Eminem. This is not a really good look for you guys at all. So yeah, rock bottom expectations with this one, and wow, this is a mess. I'll give all of them credit though, they're at least trying something different with the old school trance throwback sound. Problem is their version of it is just really badly mixed and really does not work well for this original arrangement at all. I mean, I'll give them credit for some at least decent punch in the production, but the vocals are mixed horribly, where Dido's vocals are just completely covered in the mix and really do sound out of place as all hell. The original song worked because the instrumentation was really low-key and matched her really pretty vocal delivery. Here it's just bombastic and blaring and really does not work at all for her. Also, the mixing in general is just really bizarre. The kick drums sound way too loud in the mix and really overpower the drops in a really unflattering way, and the synths are just left fighting for any sort of space in the mix. Way to ruin the melody of the original song, which is absolutely a timeless melody, and again, there's a reason why Stan managed to work in that regard. Eminem actually knew what Dido's vocal tone fits on, and this just does not have that. So yeah, it's not really a good remix, and even if it had some potential that could have shined through in the final product, the fact it sounds the way it does, yeah, not good. Skip it. Number 43, Paris by Kenya Grace.
Spend time we're in love, just to Instagram it. We'll go on a date, just to pose we're having. Everything's fake, and none of it matters, so take me to Paris.
Look, it's really nice to see Kenya Grace continue to maintain some success after Strangers. I mean, I didn't expect Only on My Mind to actually stick around a decent amount of time like it did, but the fact that she debuted a third single on this chart is honestly really promising. She might have some staying power going forward. She's quite frankly rolling out her project relatively normal by the standards of EDM producers, which honestly has me really excited for what's going to come, and hopefully it might see a mini album bomb of some sort. Now, of course, I was hyped for this given how much I loved her two previous singles, and while it is really good, I would say it's probably my least favorite of the three songs that she's charted, which still isn't saying much because it's damn great. I think the main thing that threw me for a loop was the production, where it was going for much more of an aggressive breakbeat approach, with that minor key synth melody that just plays off against some really subtle harp integration and a much more thumping beat behind it that's a lot harder than what I expect out of Kenya Grace. I don't think this is the most flattering sound for her. It definitely doesn't fit her vocal tone nearly as well as her previous singles. She does sound a bit lost here, which does make sense when you translate the lyrics of this one. I mean, it actually kind of works in this case, given that the content is about her openly not really enjoying this relationship and only keeping smiles on in the camera to show other people that she actually likes this, when in reality she really doesn't. And the only reason she's actually sticking around is due to not wanting to be lonely again, which again, I get it 100%, I've been there. I will admit, this song does feel a bit pushy for her than her previous two singles. Definitely not my favorite thing that she's released, but still, it's nice to see this crossover. It's a genuinely really damn good song, and if it leads to more down the road, I'm honestly really excited. Check this one out. Number 21, Love a Friend by KAYTRANADA featuring Rochelle Jordan.
When I felt that, we ain't even gotta choose. If you want it, oh, gotta tell me now.
It always feels so weird seeing KAYTRANADA get as much attention as he does with any new single he drops. I mean, seriously, there was a time when he didn't even cross over at all. 99.9% exists. There were no charting songs from that on the Hot Dance charts, even despite it being a massive album in retrospect. So to see this new single with Rochelle Jordan actually cross over was genuinely promising, and once again, he absolutely nails it because this is absolutely fantastic. For starters, the production is absolutely excellent, as you'd expect out of KAYTRANADA, with that really funky house groove that plays off the bass line really damn well. Honestly, it reminds me a lot of the best songs from Bubba, and that's absolutely a compliment here. I mean, yes, it's the sort of song where you can tell that it's obviously a Bubba reject that didn't make it onto that album, but still, it hits me in the same ways that the best songs on that album did for me. More importantly, Rochelle Jordan is just an absolute powerhouse here. She's got a commanding presence over this mix with her lighter vocal tone that absolutely sounds damn near gorgeous against everything else here. She's part of that long growing list of female singers that work absolutely terrifically on KAYTRANADA's production. I'm so glad he's continuing to bring on underrated names like her for the charts of the mainstream. So yeah, it's another fantastic song, and while it's definitely not in the upper tier of KAYTRANADA songs, that's such a high bar that I can still call this absolutely great regardless. Check this one out, it's absolutely fantastic. And finally, number 2, My House by Beyonce.
Paparazzi ain't got clips to hide tonight. Cash out this pain, call the rain. Then take me to Tiffany, I want 44 carats on my thing.
Okay, wow, this is fucking terrible, and I know I'm gonna get some side-eye for saying this as the start of the review, but my god, this song just falls apart the more I think about it. You can absolutely tell that this was a Renaissance leftover that's only here because of the tour documentary and has absolutely nothing else going for it because it's really not good at all. The two sections just sound really barren and really do not segue into each other much at all, with the first part being this blaring, obnoxious, trap-led sound that just sounds awful with those horns, and Beyonce going for a more yelpy vocal delivery that once again is my least favorite part of her discography. Why does she keep doing this? But then there's the second half where it goes for a faster tempo with some admittedly better production that still isn't all that interesting or good, as Beyonce tells you to get up out of her house. Seriously, why is she going for this anti-social approach? It really does not work, especially for self-empowerment like this. And really, that's about it for this one. The shallowness is just absolutely awful, the production just sounds like a mess. Beyonce delivers one of her worst ever vocal performances, and this just does not flow well in the slightest. The antisocial vibes of this one just really made me feel gross, and I really hope that Beyonce never goes back to this sound again because this is just a complete mess. Thank God it's destined to collapse next week, and I don't really see this having a ton of staying power given that a lot of fans have not really been all that on board with this one, especially given how low it debuted on the Hot 100, and when the song itself is this shitty, yeah, I can't really argue against it. This is not good at all, skip it. And you know what? I'm gonna shock some of you. My House by Beyonce is easily getting the worst of the week. I mean, that remix of Thank You was pretty damn bad, but it didn't make me genuinely upset like this one did. Beyonce had something going for her in 2016 with Lemonade, and even some of the best songs on Renaissance for me, but seriously, this is just a complete dud and really one of her worst songs to date. As for the best, I mean, that's also surprisingly easy. That's going to Love a Friend by KAYTRANADA and Rochelle Jordan. I mean, I like Paris, but in comparison to Kenya Grace's other singles, it just doesn't hit for me in the same way. Next week, really not sure what else is coming outside of that Welcome Big Fred Again debut that's likely to do a big number on this chart. But hey, there could be surprises next week. You never know. This week did surprise me in its own way with Beyonce debuting as high as she did, so we'll have to see what comes through. But yeah, that's all for this episode of an analysis of dance. See you next time.